Hello and welcome to Fort Vancouver TV Telethon.
I'm Adrian.
Yep, and I'm Mike.
And I'm Ovie.
And this is our last night at the Telethon, and we thought we'd bring one of our
Guest?
better guests, yeah, that we've had on before. And
I
have him on
agree,
here.
better guest. He was definitely entertaining.
Yeah, so we're going to get him to do some jump roping here in a minute.
Oh, good. With
Maybe
the
some
hula hoop,
yeah,
right?
with the hula hoop, yeah.
That's hard to do.
He doesn't know that.
Wow. We are on TV, right? Live.
Yeah, we're
Thank
live
you.
right now. So, hey, if anybody out there wants to contact us, you guys probably already out there know what the phone number is. I don't have it memorized.
693-7544.
That's area code 360.
Yes.
And our website is FVTV11.org. And we just realized today that we had a little bit of problems with the donation page. And so if you guys are actually having problems donating, then please just contact us by email. And can you give that, did you get the email
Yeah,
address?
it's info@fvtv11.org. And just leave your phone number. We're not going to ask you to leave your personal information on there. Just leave a phone number, contact number where we can call you back. Because if you're trying to donate, we definitely appreciate it. And, like you said, we've been having some problems, I guess. And
Yeah.
we'd hate to miss out on an opportunity.
Or if you guys want to send a check, you can go to our website, and the address is on the website.
Okay.
So we appreciate that. And also, like we said before, if you don't have the funds, we know times are hard right now, and if you do not have the funds, we're not asking you to volunteer financially, but actually to get involved physically, or just by telling your neighbors about FVTV and what we're doing here. This is your station, so the more effort we put into this, we can keep this thing alive and actually build it up to for better programming.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think things have been going well on that front. We've noticed a definite change in not only the content, but I think people are responding to that, because we're definitely seeing an increase in people responding, calling. Friday's show, we were just, flooded with callers, really.
Yeah, and all through the rest of the week we know that the football games are going on, and people probably put that as more of a priority than a public station, but and that's understandable. But even with that going on, we've had quite a bit of phone calls coming in and good responses. We come in here in the morning, we've got the phones, a lot of messages on our recorder, so that's really good, and people are actually participating and trying to get involved, and we thank you for that.
Yeah. Negative response too. I don't mind hearing that personally. It shows that you're watching. As long as you care and you're paying attention, that's what matters to me personally.
Yep. So anyways, well, let's get to our guest, Ovie. Ovie got involved with this about how long ago, Ovie?
Oh, about summer, August.
Summer.
Maybe even earlier. It was still cold when we filmed Us Shore Park.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've met Ginger at the Saturday market in downtown Vancouver, and that's how I found out about you guys.
And so when you found out, how did you guys find out? You just saw her stand down there and then started talking to Ginger? And
Yes, and then she gave me a business card, and I came here at the studio, and that's when I met this gentleman, Mike Fisher. I do remember your name.
oh, okay.
What do you think of that guy?
That guy. Smiles a lot. I like that.
Yeah, like he's running for president.
He's a character. So, did you even know we had a public access station that you could get involved with?
No, I did not know. But it's an honor to be here again. Thank you for inviting me back. I like being part of this show. It's given me the opportunity to speak about the danger of socialism and communism in the world, talk about my father's book, and to share what he went through to bring us here to the United States, the land of the free.
What do you think if you were in Romania and you had a platform like this to speak from? What do you think it would have done to the communism, the socialism that was trying to overtake Romania?
Well, definitely if people were informed, they would have voted differently. They would have taken action before it was too late. Absolutely. I don't think that they would have had a chance to be elected to rule the country.
So do you think this kind of platform is a danger to that kind of government that tries to sneak in?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt in my mind they consider us enemies.
Right.
And I don't mind being the enemies of the ones that hate freedom. My father risked his life to come to freedom. This is the least I can do to fight and stand what he stood for.
Right. I've talked to a couple people, and just give their side of it, but they really think socialism is basically has got a bad rap. People are basically putting out verbiage that is really not portraying socialism in the picture that it should be. And sometimes I kind of wonder if people really understand. In theory, it seems like socialism works in theory, but you were actually involved with that. And how, just kind of on their side, just kind of like, because people really think it will work, and they really actually think it's been given a bad rap.
Sure, I've said the last time I was on the show that socialism only works in two places: in heaven, where there is no need for it, and in hell, where it already exists. Now, we don't have to bash on socialists and communists. We just have to look at the result and the consequences of socialism and communism in other countries, and that speaks for itself. I mean, why are millions of people dying trying to escape out of communist countries? Anybody that wants to try socialism and communism, they don't have to bring it to the United States. They can just move to a country where a government exists as a socialist government or communist government. And I don't believe they want to live there very long. I always offered, I'm not a very rich person, but I offer a one-way ticket to anybody who believes that socialism and communism is good. I'll pay their expenses to move to a country that has a government like that. So anybody who wants to give me a call, number should be on the screen. I'll pay your way there.
So do you think there might be maybe a balance? Maybe there might be an extreme socialism and maybe not so extreme socialism? Do you think that might work? Or, I mean, you came out of something that was very extreme, right?
Well, they didn't start extreme. As you well know, they promise you hope and change, but they deliver hell. And it's been like that. If anybody wants to contradict what I just said, they need to read the history of Romania, they need to read the history of China, they need to read the history of Russia, of Eastern Germany, for example, and they'll realize that it starts off good and it has a very good intention, and they believe what they're saying. They lie so good that they convince themselves first and then the people that elect them. But as soon as they're in power, power corrupts people, and there's no check and balances in a socialist and communist country. So that's what happens. See, here in the United States, the land of the free, we can talk against the government, we can talk against measures that the government implements, and we can protest and let the government know that we, the people, still have the power. In a communist country, you saw what they do on China. They round up the people with tanks, they shoot them right there in the square. They have no regard for life as an individual. Right. So there's a lot to talk about, but we don't have time tonight. But please do buy my father's book and read about life in communism, in a communist country.
It's called Willing to Die, and I think we got it up on the screen. That's Ovie's father, John, and what's your mother's name?
Stella.
Stella. And so if we can get the book on screen, would appreciate that, Jesse.
I kind of wanted to ask your opinion, with China being a communist country, but now, with the economic boom, and there's, the citizens are kind of seeing the benefits of capitalism. What do you think is going to happen there? Do you think that they're going to be able to try and work it to where they have a capitalist economy and a communist governmental system?
I don't believe so. The majority of the people are held captive to the rules of the communist government, of the Chinese government. they have the power to make themselves look good. They only allow news to come out of China that fits their agenda and makes them look good.
Yeah.
The truth never comes out. There's people being tortured and imprisoned for no other reason except that they desire to live in freedom. It's one thing for people that commit a crime to go to prison, but I believe that anybody that desires freedom and speak against government oppression should not be sent to prison. But it's happening in any given country that has a communist government. The people that speak against the government end up in prison.
Yeah, it just makes me wonder, like, what's going to happen, you know, because it seems to me that they're kind of having to give their citizens a little bit of freedom, just, you know, because they're getting a taste of it, and, oh, well, let's give them a little bit of music or, you know, a little bit of this. But it makes me wonder what's going to happen. I mean, it seems like something's got to give. So either they're going to have to crack down, you know, because they're losing too much power, or the citizens are going to have enough and rise up.
Yes, but what can a citizen or a group of citizens or a majority group of citizens do against the government that has tanks and guns and police power, and the people don't have any guns? I mean, what are they going to do? Throw rocks at the tanks? Use sticks
I
to
don't
fight with the police? So,
Well, they said that back in the revolutionary days here, you know, that how could we fight against a country that has their own navy and their own full military? We're just a bunch of farmers.
right, but those farmers had guns. Those farmers were united. They were not afraid of their neighbor or their brother or sister that they wouldn't inform into the government.
Yeah.
They were united, and that's how that happened. Communist government makes a brother and a sister enemies, makes a father and a son into enemies. That's the only they learn, and that's how they can control the people. When people are afraid of each other, to talk about freedom, to talk against their government, and to talk about changing their government. So until the Chinese people, I don't know if it's going to be in the next 50 years or 100 years, but until the Chinese people realize that they have to be united and they trust each other and they stand against their oppressive government united, no change is going to come to them.
Yeah, I hope it does.
Yeah.
I hope so
So when you
too.
say socialism starts out good with a good idea,
Right.
but because there's no checks and balances, then it just gets corrupted faster than what's going on right now.
Well, from the very beginning, the people that, the socialists that came to Romania, they did not, in their hearts and their minds, they just want to take over and rule. But they do speak like they have good intentions. They promise everybody's going to have more than enough. Everybody is going to love the change that they're going to implement. And you know, this sounds familiar, but they're going to take from the rich and give to the poor, because why should a few people have so much?
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard that if you take all the money in the world and you spread it equally to every person, very soon afterwards, the money are going to end up in the same pockets, because the ones that the rich people that are prosperous and they've worked hard all their life, they dedicated themselves to what they believe in, and they acquired wealth, they appreciate it, and they know how to make wealth again, even if you take all their money. But somebody that never had a desire, and they partied through high school and they partied through college, and they had no plan for the future, they don't have any plan to contribute and to make this country a better place, they'll lose it all, no matter how much you give them.
Yeah. I guess that's true. It's not what you make, it's what you spend.
Yep.
Well, if anybody out there wants to call and ask Ovie a question, or Adrian and I, please call us at 360-693-7544. And also our website is FVTV11.org. And can you give out the info if you guys want to send an email?
Yeah, just info@fvtv11.org.
Yeah, we appreciate everything that you guys do for us out there, and just by spreading the news or just the word to your neighbors, loved ones. And this Wednesday, we're going to go before the city hall. So if anybody wants to join us down there to just help us out and basically you know, justify or basically give a,
Yeah, just come help, speak up, just let your voice be counted. That
yeah,
this avenue to get your voice out is important to you. If you can't donate, we understand, but just come down there and show that it matters.
yeah.
Try and help.
Because and I keep saying this, but I really think that this is a platform for the individual and the community to be able to express their thoughts and intents out all over the air instead of, it's just a bigger platform. And if you're shy, if you're more of an introvert, that's fine. Just come out here. We'll work with you.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of introverts come here, and now you wouldn't even know they were an introvert.
Yeah.
So this is a place for you guys to come and express yourself. So it sounds like we got a call coming in, but I wanted to ask you another question about socialism, but we'll wait for this. I heard it coming through. But anyways, why don't you give the number out one more time? We'll wait for that call.
360-693-7544. Yeah, I know we've covered this a couple of times, that, communism starts out with the best of intentions. And we talked about that last time you were on, that it is appealing. It sounds good. But to me, just look at the evidence. Where has it been tried and how did it work? Before you try putting it in, I mean, we got ready with the
Yeah, I
call?
couldn't hear them on the radio.
Yeah, I don't know that they're on. But yeah, just look at where it's been tried. I mean, that's my attitude, just looking at tax policies when people always talk about taxing the rich, and it's one of those things that sounds good. We'll just tax the millionaires and make them pay their fair share. How did it work for California? Everyone who was a millionaire that owned a business, they pulled up and they went to Texas or Washington, they left.
Right.
Yeah.
If it worked, California should be the best, most prosperous state in the nation right now.
Right.
And they're paying their refunds with IOUs pretty much. So that's my logic is, okay, you have an idea, has it been tried before, how did it work?
Right.
It didn't work.
When they came into Romania, what was it, I mean, when they finally got out of there, they must have been after the resources or something. What attracted them to Romania?
Well, as I said last time I was on the show, Romania was the most prosperous country in Europe in that time, and everybody owned their land. Everybody produced. Everybody desired to produce and to. Is the caller online?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Go ahead.
Hello, caller, you're live on the air.
Hey guys, so I was wondering about that the meeting that you're going to have, TCC meeting. When is that?
That's Wednesday at 3:30. I think we're going to meet around about 3 o'clock, about quarter after 3, and we're going to meet down there at City Hall.
Oh, okay.
Do you know where they do the Vancouver City Council meetings?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's just on the south, just south of Esther Short Park, next to the Hilton.
Oh, okay.
And it says City Hall right on the front.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, what's your name, caller?
My name is Lee.
Lee. Nice to meet you, Lee. Are you going to come down?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it.
All right.
You guys have some really interesting content, and I like the variety because some people have different views. I'm a little neutral on the subject of politics, but I'm glad that you're speaking out. So.
Yeah, we try to be neutral on the politics because for me, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but because to me, I have a different viewpoint. I think they're both owned. I think they're just playing us, and so I'm just voting for the person that's standing up for what I believe, and that is for our individual freedoms. So,
and that's great.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Lee, for your phone call.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope to see you there.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
So, anyways, let's go back to the.
Yeah, before we go there, would you give us some information on the meeting? What's the meeting about on Wednesday?
Well, the meeting's before the, I think it's
Telecommunications Commission,
Telecommunications.
TCC. and they report to the county and the city with their recommendations of, and
Designation.
this is based on my memory. If I'm wrong, please correct me, but they basically present their opinion on what should or should not be aired as far as public access designation.
Okay.
And I think they have recommended that we not be redesignated as the public access station. And so we're going up to plead our case.
Okay. So was that just a recommendation, or are they actually trying to control what is on and not?
Well, I think they just think that we're just not a viable source for the community. We're not a platform, or I keep using the word platform, but just a viable source of information for the community. They got a governmental station, an educational station, and we're just basically a free speech station.
Yeah.
Allowing the public to basically come here and, you know, as long
Yeah.
as it's not illegal, you can say pretty much anything.
Freedom of
It's
speech.
It's family.
Yeah.
It's family orientated, so you got to keep it within some boundaries. So anyway, so we're going before the city council on Wednesday, but it's towards the TCC to basically show them that what we have now, what we've changed, and why we're important to be a part of the community.
Sure.
Cool. Yeah.
So,
That's great.
but anyways, I'm really interested in what you were thinking about Romania. Why were they coming into Romania? You said it was the most wealthiest.
Right, and there's a parallel, and my father describes that in his book, Willing to Die. It's not by mistake that the communists are trying to come to the United States. United States of America is the most prosperous country in the world. Does that sound familiar with the fact that Romania, back in the 50s, was the most prosperous country in Europe?
Yep.
They,
I didn't know they were the most wealthiest country.
Yes. Free enterprise, capitalist. Everybody owned their land. Everybody made the best they could to produce on their land. And then once the government took over, they took everybody's farms, and then they hired people to work for the government, but it didn't have the same result as when you own the land. See, that's I'm sure you've heard about what was happening in Texas with the ranchers over there, that the government were trying to take over. And
Oh, Clive Bundy?
oh, yes,
Yeah,
Bundy,
I think it was
and then, of
Nevada,
course,
but yeah.
Oh, yes, that was in Nevada, yes.
Yeah.
But you know, we still live in the land of the free, where we, the people, have the power to tell the government to back off. And that's what happened there, and that was awesome. That was such an awesome thing that happened in Nevada with Bundy. I think that showed the people that they still have the power to control their government and their destiny, and showed the government and the government officials that they need to watch out when it comes to violating the people's rights. They still cannot do that yet.
What do you suppose that people that espouse communism are after? I mean, it seems by now they would know their platform doesn't work. I mean, you know, it's like, oh, you know, we've been trying this for 100 years and we don't have a success country yet, you know, but, oh, we're about to turn a corner and get one, you know, or do they know that it's a failure, but they don't care because it gets them in power?
They really don't care. They're almost like a form of government without a country. They'll move from one to another and devour and destroy. That's what they've done to Romania.
Sounds like a parasite,
Yeah.
you know, just jumps from one to the other when it's empty.
Right, and you know, why, if what they're saying is true and the gospel they preach of equality and everybody having the same and more than enough, why aren't they doing that in the country they're in right now?
Yeah.
Why do they want to come to the United States? Live United States alone. We have our way of life based on the founding fathers' principles they put in writing, which they were guided, as you both know, on the Word of God. They were godly men that prayed before they actually sat down and had a meeting on how to best rule the newfound land. And now we have the communists coming here, and then they're screaming that they're offended if we pray before a meeting. They need to stay in China and in Russia and Romania, whatever else there's communism, and do their meetings their own way. Don't come and change this country. It's the most prosperous country in the world right now, and the best country to live in. Yeah.
You know, we always talk about they're talking about this, they're talking about that, and everybody wonders who's they, who's them, and you know we had Michael on here and he was talking about who's they, and he was given a really good analysis or basically some history behind who they were, and what you know when what they're saying is they have mouthpieces that are always spewing these messages out. So when you say they, well, you know, it wasn't really Warren Buffett, it wasn't really George Soros, you know, he's not they, he's a mouthpiece. These guys are just mouthpieces echoing and basically parroting what these guys are telling them what to say. And so when they say, like now George Soros and some of these other guys, they said that they will take down America. They said, we have allowed America to be too wealthy, too independent, and they will never allow it to happen again. What do you think of that?
Well, they're messing with the creator of heaven and earth. And I don't want to be in their shoes. You know, you have to understand that whenever somebody speaks, and I don't want to attack one person in particular, but here's my opinion. I'm speaking from my heart, what's in my heart. I believe you do the same, and so does Adrian. If you listen to our president, there's, you know, yes, he has somebody that writes these speeches and so forth, but he really believes in what he's saying. If you remember when he was running for president, he promised hope and change to America. And he did bring change, and the hope has gone out the window so far, but, you know, but it's sad that the change that came about since we have this president is not a good change.
Right.
And it's more towards a direction of socialism and communism. And this country has people that believe in the founding fathers and in the principles of the United States and what the Constitution guarantees and what the Bill of Rights. And until we hold on to our guns, the communists are not going to take over.
Well, government is scared of those who can stand up for themselves.
Absolutely.
I mean, they are literally cowards. Unless they have the bigger gun, they know you're not going to shoot back. Man, they're bullies. But as soon as you have a gun, man, oh, hold on, this is dangerous now.
Yeah.
We're dangerous. How come they're not dangerous?
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't remember who said, but I remember reading a quote that said that those who turn their guns into plows will soon be the slaves to those who did not turn their guns in. So I'm not sure exactly how but do you get the message to that? We are never to turn our guns in, never, you know, when I hear these gun drives, you know, downtown LA does it a lot. The police officers, they get together and they encourage people to turn their guns in.
Yeah, the gun buyback programs.
Right, buyback, or they give them a, I don't know.
$50 gift card.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a plan of the communists. And my father's book, at the end of the book, there's 45 goals of the communists for the United States. And that's one of the goals they have, to do away with guns, to totally outlaw guns in the United States. Well, so far they haven't done it, and I pray to God they never will, because the day that becomes a law and guns are outlawed, we lost freedom.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think they'll ever, you know, be able to pass a law saying you can't own guns. It's been settled by the Supreme Court, you know, that it is an individual liberty that
Right.
you own guns. So it seems to me what they're trying to do is just make it so time-consuming and trouble. You know, oh, well, you can still have a gun, you just have to get this permit, and you have to get your license, you have to
Right.
go through the fingerprinting, and most people say, screw it, I'm just not going to have one. And so they you know, de-arm.
Well, that's what the whole point is, all these little bills that come through. It's slowly, it's allowing them to get a little foot in the door. If they got 1 foot in the door, they're going to get 2. So they always go after our constitutional rights by questioning, by throwing these little bills out there to actually thwart our constitutional rights.
Yeah.
So even having anything about guns on the bill should be unconstitutional. anything about
Right.
the guns.
Yeah.
Anything about freedom of speech should be unconstitutional.
Yeah.
But they're just sticking a little finger in here, a little finger in here, a little finger. Hey, everybody wants to give up their guns. We got all these bills saying we might as well just ban them because everybody's voted it in.
Yeah.
Right. And Adrian is correct when he's saying that they're coming up with all these new rules and regulations. They're squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. I don't know if you guys know, but as of December 5th, it's against the law for a private party to sell a gun without doing a background check to the person they're selling it to. Where does that come from? This is still the United States of America, the land of the free, correct? You should
Yeah.
buy and sell whatever you own or whatever you want to purchase.
Yep.
Yeah.
That should not be. I'm
It
not
should
sure
not
how
be.
that passed, how that bill passed, and it's
Yep.
at the federal level. It's shocking.
Yeah, and yeah, they don't need to make a law making it completely 100% illegal. If they can just make it enough to where you think it's enough of a headache to say, you know, I'm done. I'm just gonna. It's too much trouble. I'm tired of all this. You know, then they've still achieved their goal.
Right.
Yeah. And it puts a burden on a private person to run a background check on another. Would you come to me if I said, well, you know, if you want to buy this gun, I have to know everything about you. I need your social security number, date of birth, address, your mother's maiden name, you know, your place of employment, where you live, just to buy a
Yeah.
gun?
Well, it comes down to it, and people can say out there, oh, you know, this is a conspiracy theory. But I'm telling you, they are coming after the guns because they are scared of people that actually have the guns. And so if they can actually track these guns down, it'll make it so much easier. That's why they're passing all these bills, so they can keep track of where these guns are at, so they can come and say, you know, like you said, well, turn in your guns. And I think they did it in Australia, and 1,000 people did not turn their guns in, and one of them was that guy, Crocodile Dundee, the real Crocodile Dundee.
Paul Hogan, or the guy
The
that the
real guy.
character was based on.
Yeah, the character
Oh.
that it was based on, he actually died holding on to his guns. They came after his guns, and he had a gunfight with them
Huh.
because he was not going to give up his guns.
Huh.
And you know what? That is the spirit that's here in the United States. Is we are individuals, and we can make our own decisions. I don't know about some of you out there, but you know, maybe you feel like you can't make a decision. Well, maybe you shouldn't even have a family if you can't make a decision. I'm being extreme here, but you know I can make my own decisions. I don't need a government telling me that I can't make my own decision.
Yeah.
And they're making decisions. They're going to be the parent over me.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. You know, I mean,
And
it can be tied to lesser laws too, just a simple loss of liberty. It's like, you know, it's the law we have to wear a seatbelt
Yeah.
or wear a motorcycle helmet. And we all know those are good ideas.
Right.
You know, you should wear your seatbelt or wear a helmet. But, you know, it's also a good idea for me to eat my vegetables or to make sure my shoes are tied.
Exactly,
But I don't need a
exactly.
law to tell me to do that. You know,
Exactly.
you're the captain of your own body, your own soul, and you should have the right to do so.
Right.
Sounds like we got a caller.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Caller, you're live on the air. What's your name?
Hey, this is Lee again, guys.
Hey, Lee.
Yeah.
So I got really interested about this whole gun topic. You know, my family is really big on having guns and you know, supporting that right. And I kind of support it too. You know, it's important that people in the U.S. you know have that right to defend themselves. You know, it was given to us for a reason.
Yeah.
So on that subject, I wanted to point out that there's a lot of fear in that because the fact they have guns, and more so in they can't just. I'm sure with the right incentive and the right push, they could probably just outright ban guns, but they're afraid to because of the fact that might start a quote-unquote civil war.
Right.
And it might.
You're
I
absolutely
mean,
right.
that's what I feel. I feel that's the big fear in that.
Yeah.
Because we are armed, and there's a lot of us here that are armed.
Yeah.
Yep,
So I
absolutely
think
right.
it's more of a population control at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree.
Yes.
Well,
Go
go
ahead.
Go ahead, Ovie.
It's interesting how the government is not going after.
Yeah, I can hear him.
Okay. I'll just
can
hold
you-
it over here so you can hear better.
It's interesting how the government is not going after illegal guns or after criminals that own guns. See, guns don't kill people. Guns in the wrong hands kill people. And when
Right.
you have criminals that walk around, you go in downtown Portland, in North Portland, and within 10 minutes, somebody walks up to you and want to know if you want to buy a gun, want to buy drugs, But
Right.
you don't see the government out there doing sting operations and getting those guns out of the hands of the criminals. But yet they're in government passing all kinds of bills and pushing all kinds of bills through
Right.
to try to take the rights of the people in general, law-abiding citizen, from owning or buying, selling, trading guns. Why?
Right.
Right?
Well, I think the reason why is because if they go out and enforce the laws and solve the problem, people aren't going to agree to have a new law if the problem's already solved.
Right. You're right.
To me, it seems like they're trying to slowly push into it without drastically changing the law. If they just outright ban it across the entire country, that would cause a lot of civil unrest.
Yeah. Yeah, the death of
So-
1,000 cuts.
Yeah. It's just a slow process for them. But people are starting to see what's going on, so they're trying to use the media outlets, they're trying to control those, make sure the voice is limited. That way people can't, know what's going on.
Yeah, which I guess makes it all the more important to keep this station alive.
Right.
Yes, and you know what? Everybody that's listening, everybody that's watching, and anybody you talk to, we need to rise up. Enough is enough. The law-abiding people, the ones that produce, the ones that contribute to this country, they've been busy working and minding their own business, and they're not taking up a stand for this. But it's time that we all get together and stand up against all these nonsense new laws that are unconstitutional, like Mike says, and vote for those people that stand up for the rights that we have in the United States. And when you smell something fishy in one of those politicians, don't vote for him. As a matter of fact, do everything you can that he doesn't get elected.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you guys are making a lot of sense right now, and that's great.
Well,
and I
thank you,
encourage
Lee.
you guys, spreading the word and expressing your own voice, which is great.
All right.
Thank you.
That goes on to you, the viewers, Lee. Also, if you like the show and you think other people would too, tell them about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for your phone call.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Have a good night, Lee.
Yeah, you too.
So anyway, so
like him.
Yeah. So, back to the guns, they're trying to strategize so many different ways how to go after our guns. One is setting martial law in, or like this Ebola thing. They're talking about, hey, we need to have a mandatory vaccination. Well, if you know anything about vaccinations, most people are not, the people that do know, which is a pretty big percentage of them now, will not take the vaccinations because they know they're actually putting mercury in the vaccinations. Some people say, oh, it's food grade mercury. Has anybody ever heard of food grade mercury?
It's in the fish.
It's in the fish. But it's like, how ridiculous, how stupid do they think we are? Yeah, some of us have been, not to any fault to the people, but they've actually dumbed a lot of people down by putting fluoride in the water. It's a dumbing agent. And so what it does is causes people to go into normalcy bias. And because of that, oh, it's not happening here, it's not happening here, this is not happening to me. As they got a gun to their head, oh, it's not happening to me. And as they get shot, oh, I guess it did happen to me, but now it's too late.
Right.
So
Basically, we got some people that are saying, it's not happening. Why would our government do that? Why would they do this? You got people that are just plainly evil, and people need to wake up to that. You have evil people out there that want to take over your family, your children, your house, take everything away from you. And so, back to this Ebola thing, they've already talked about how they're going to do it's mandated that you have vaccinations. Well, a lot of people are not going to do that. And they said, well, that's why we need to have the gun confiscation. So we can actually, well, what are you going to do with these people that don't take the vaccination? Well, we're going to put them into a camp. We're going to quarantine them off. Because we want to make sure they don't have Ebola. Well, we know now that most of the people that are getting Ebola are the ones that got the vaccinations. That's how it started. So now people are, people, we need to wake up. We have an enemy out there, and we're not supposed to be deceived, of these enemies. What do you think?
Well, I don't know much about
start getting mad, I
the
can't even
actual
talk straight.
virus, but I do know that the response of our president to the danger of Ebola was pretty much, he didn't do absolutely nothing about it. And actually refused to even answer a question about it to the media. How can a president that swore to protect the United States and the people of the United States of America not respond to such a deadly virus? I'd like to know. I'd like to ask him to tell us. We the people demand to know. Why haven't you done anything when you first heard about it? You know, and I'm sure he knew about it way before we knew about it, we the people. The reason why these politicians get away with so much and they do whatever they want to is because we are not holding our leaders accountable for what they do or for what they do not do, in this case, protecting us, the people.
Yeah.
You know, if you look back just 100 years ago, if any president did what this president did,
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to go further than that, but
Right. But we get the picture.
Well,
yeah,
you know,
we were holding, back then, the presidents and the politicians were held accountable, and they were dealt with if they went against the people. Now look at some of them, what they do. Not all of them, because there's some good people, but they're powerless. They don't have a backbone to stand up to the ones that violate the rights of the people. But back then, the people had the courage to hold their leaders accountable and deal with them accordingly.
Yeah, to me, I think it's kind of been a lot of smoke and mirrors and distract and dazzle people, you know, because you also look at it, it's like, you know, we had that space rocket, you know, that landed on the comet and started doing research. Never been done before, and people were like, "Oh yeah, but hey, did you hear about that new picture of Kim Kardashian?" Now, I don't know, that was going all over Facebook. It was Kim Kardashian's basically oiled up booty, and it was like the most downloaded thing that week. Just Kim Kardashian and a naked picture of her butt, but it was going nuts, and no one cared about the comet thing.
What
Now-
website
now-
was that on? I didn't
Yeah,
see that.
well, exactly, but no one cares. You know, it's like, hey, you know, this Ebola thing's going on, and then people are, yeah, how are the Seahawks doing? You know, no one cares. And
Yeah.
to me, it's pretty offensive, really. You know, how people have let the wool be pulled over their own eyes.
Yeah. Well, they got all these things dancing in front of us, entertaining us to distract us from really what's going on. And what they're trying to do is control the narrative. So if we're over here looking at, oh, pretty sparkles over here, and man, they're controlling the narrative over here.
Yeah.
Well, why are we sending drones over there? I mean, there's so many things going on. They're hitting us from here, and it's almost kind of like getting punch drunk. in
It
a
is
fist fight.
overwhelming.
You know, you're sitting there going, holy smokes, where do I start?
Yeah.
And you know, for viewers out there, you know, watching some of this content, I understand, like you're watching some of these documentaries, you're probably going, oh my God, man, this station's got, you know, they're spraying stuff in the air, the GMOs, the vaccinations. Oh my God, the whole world's falling apart. Well, it kind of is falling apart. It's a good thing that you wake up now. But the good thing is there's other people out there that have already kind of worked themselves through this whole quagmire and actually are, you know, have a peace of mind in this. That's why you need to get involved, get into a core group, and just be a part of this stuff and learn what you can do so you're not scared. One thing is, what were you talking about? Like the vaccinations. Man, people, you need to read the inserts on these vaccinations. Man, they're just causing a lot of neurological damages in
What do
children.
you mean, like side effects and stuff?
Side effects. Yeah, the side effects are just horrible. What was the flu vaccination? After the third vaccination, your Alzheimer's increased by 50%.
Alzheimer's?
Yeah,
Huh.
by 50% on the third vaccination.
Huh. Makes me glad I don't get those.
Yeah, I don't get them either. I haven't had the flu in years.
Yeah, nor have I.
Same here. I don't take any vaccines.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, though, we the people have our destiny in our hands. United States of America is one of the very few countries in the world that the people still have the power to decide for themselves what the future will be like. And communist countries and socialist countries around the world, the elections are rigged. You know, everybody now, the new thing is in the world is, you know, people should vote their destiny. So China jumped on that wagon and is saying, you know, we respect human rights and so forth. Most other countries. But what happens is You get an election in a communist country that says 95% of the people voted for this president. How can that be? We know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
it's not possible, right? But here in the United States of America, we have the right to. I want to encourage and challenge each person to educate themselves, to know who they vote for, and get out there and vote. Encourage their children to vote, encourage their grandparents, encourage their brother, sister, and friends, and have group discussions, have people over, have a dinner, have a barbecue, and get involved. That's the only way we can have the future we want to have and still have a free United States of America.
Right.
Otherwise, we're going to wake up one day and have elections that say 95% of the people voted for Kim Young or some guy that wants to kill anybody else that's against him. You know, so that's not going to happen because the people of the United States of America still have a desire to live in freedom, and it's very easy and it's little to do. Get involved in the process and choose your future, choose your destiny for you and for your children.
You know, you bring up a good point. As a group, you know, as you come together and you try to educate yourself, man, you could have some educational debates and come out of it feeling like, oh man, I just grew.
I just learned something,
I just
yeah.
learned something. And that's what I appreciate every time I get around you. You and I always have an educational debate. You tell me something new that I never knew about. And every time I get around you, I grow some more because we're always kind of talking back and forth. And you correct me when I'm wrong and vice versa. And we're able to grow from that.
Thank you. Yes.
And that's what I appreciate. It's not an emotional debate where it's because I feel something, it must be right.
Whoever screams the loudest.
Yeah, whoever screams the loudest, oh, they must be the winner. No, and nobody ever comes out feeling educated or feel like they've been blessed out of the conversation.
I kind of got that way on
down.
Friday. I remember Friday, I got a little heated.
Yeah, you did.
Kind of riled up, but
That's the first time I've ever seen you get heated.
yeah. Yeah.
Usually you're pretty calm.
Well, I just don't like being cut off. You know, it's like, I'll
Yeah.
let you say your point, but you better damn well let me say mine. You know?
So, you know, emotional debates never, ever go anywhere. They never do anything for
Yeah.
the relationship or anything. But anyways, so,
Yeah, we're running a telethon too, so if anyone has any donations,
yeah.
693-7544, or call in and talk, add to the discussion.
Yeah. And like we said before, you can go to FVTV11.org. We have a donation tag. If you go on there, just leave your information, and there's a comment area. You can leave a comment. But also, if you cannot get on that and make a donation, because we've had some problems with that page, please go to our email address. And what is that again?
info@fvtv11.org.
One more time.
info@fvtv11.org.
Yeah, and just leave us an email. Don't leave your, credit card information on there, but just leave us a message. Hi, appreciate your show and what it's done for you. Also, if you want to donate, just leave your number and how much you want to donate, but don't leave your Visa number or anything like that. And also, you can send us a check. The address is on our website, fvtv11.org. And we would appreciate any donations.
You could always call in and give your credit card information live over the air.
Okay.
That's funny, Adrian. All right.
So, yeah, and if you don't have the money, come on down. Just come on down here and join us. We usually have some pizza. We just have a great time down here. Just be a part of the team and just get involved.
I would say
Find your
that's
voice.
most important. Just get involved.
Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, I believe it would be great if you had a panel of people up here, and then you have 50 people asking questions and having an
be a
audience
lot of
that's
fun.
involved, going back and forth, bouncing ideas and
Yeah.
questions and answers. Yeah, I think it'd be great.
That would be.
And Friday nights underground, well, that's pretty much where it's going. It's grown pretty big. We've had up to 18 people here, I think, one night.
You
Including
mean
the crew?
in the audience?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
including the crew.
Yeah, we were probably about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're pretty packed.
Which
in
probably
here.
doesn't sound that impressive to people at home, but trust us, for public access, that's quite
It
impressive.
was millions.
Yeah.
There we go. So, but anyways, so let's talk a little bit more about this, what happened with your dad's book and how he came about to put this book together.
Well, it all started with my father having a desire to live behind a history of how we ended up in the United States of America for his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And of course, he asked me, he wrote in Romanian, then he asked me to translate, and I did part of it, my sister did part of it, but then, of course, my father being a man, a strong man, very to the point, he wrote basically bullet points, what happened on this date, what happened on this date, this is the way it did on this date. And it was a good reference point, but it did not tell the story of what we went through. And a lot of his clients and friends and family friends and people from church that knew his history of how we came to the United States of America encouraged him to have somebody write a book. So my best friend's mom retired, and her lifetime dream was to write books, to become a writer. And so I put her and my parents together, and her name is Josephine Walker, and not long after that, she moved to California in my parents' home. She lived there a total of almost 5 months, interviewing my mom and dad every evening, writing during the day, and then she moved back home to Wyoming, Cody, Wyoming, and worked on the book for almost another year. And the result is the book called Willing to Die. She did a great job, very well put together. You read the book and you loved it. And the book has been published October, well, actually the book launch was October 18, 2013.
And we did a little promo for that book, right?
Yes, we did in March of this year.
Yeah. And you'll see it on TV every once in a while. You'll see the Willing to Die promo. We interviewed, actually Ginger is the one that interviewed Ovie down at Esther Shore Park.
Right. Yes, thank you very much for that. That's awesome. And my father is very happy and thankful to see that something's happening. Yeah. He invested a lot of money, paid for everything that was done for the book, for the publishing, for the writing, for the design of the book and so forth. And he's encouraged, he sells 2, 3, 4 books every day from his business, place of business in Costa Mesa, California. He owns an auto and marine upholstery shop, has a few thousand clients that he's been dealing with for over the years. And some of them come back and buy 3 and 4 more books for their family members. And right now, with Christmas coming up, is a good time to buy. Somebody that loves reading, is a great book to read, easy to read.
Excuse me, Ovie, for 1 second. We're just going to go over an extra 10 minutes over because we're running up against time.
Okay.
But we'll just go an extra 10 minutes. And
You're going to have to put a gun to Adrian's head.
I know.
He wants
we
to
got to
read.
get Adrian out of here because he's got to get up early in the morning for work. But just finish this up. We'll bring you back on again
Okay.
and talk about the book.
Great.
I had a question. I guess finish your point, actually.
Oh, I was just saying that it's a great time right now to buy a book for people that, if you have friends and family members that love to read. It's a great book to buy and give it to them as a gift for Christmas. Also, with the election coming up for a new president, I do believe that everybody should read the book to realize how communists and socialists lie and how they promise you things that are too good to be true. And we all know that whenever somebody promises you something that's too good to be true, it is too good to be true.
Yeah.
And see the steps the socialists take and what they do to convince the people to choose them as their leaders. And once they're in power, they forget everything they promised and they turn into dictators.
Yeah, and this is a book that's not based on hating those who are in socialism. Matter of fact, when you read it, you're like, oh, wow, this is a book that really is loving the people, trying to show them, hey, what can actually happen if you allow these people to have the full extent of socialism.
Right.
Would you agree just a small portion of socialism works?
There's something that could be allowed to happen, and that is taking care of the poor and the destitute. But I want to say it is not the job of the government to tax the hardworking people so they can take the money and take care of the poor and the destitute. No. As a matter of fact, it's my firm belief, and as I understand God's word in the Bible, it is the job of the church to take care of the poor and the destitute, not the government. The church doesn't take money by force from people, doesn't tax people. The church gets money from the goodwill and good heart of the people that are offering and paying their tithes, and that's the money that the church uses to take care of the poor and the destitute. The government forces us to pay higher taxes so they can do the job that we should do because we love one another.
Right.
They like to tell you that that's a socialist mentality and desire to take care of the poor so nobody's poor, but it is not. It's a godly thing. And God commends us and orders us to take care of the poor, to feed the hungry, to clothe those who are destitute and have nothing.
And that's where basically they, from what I read about some of the history of socialism, they say, oh, it's actually scriptural, but they twist it by saying it's the government doing all the giving. Well, the government's supposed to stay out of it.
Right.
We don't want the government in our lives because every time the government gets in our lives, it becomes tyrannical.
Right, exactly.
They're to serve us,
Yes.
not in the, in different facets, but we as individuals, we're supposed to basically, let our character shine out. What's our character in? We're in the image of God. Well, God's a giving God. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, and that's not a communist or socialist principle. See, you cannot make me, by force, give as much as I would give out of my own free will and my good heart.
Right.
I'll take my clothes off, and I took homeless people from downtown Portland, took them to my house, and my wife hates me for that, but they smell, they were high on drugs, it was terrible, but I took them in my house, I put them in my shower, and actually had to soak them so I can take their socks off their feet because were embedded in their skin.
Oh, wow.
And dressed them in my own clothes, fed them, and took them back in downtown. But back to what I said, you cannot force me. The government cannot force me and tax me as much as I can give out of my own good heart, and that's an American heart.
Yeah.
We,
exactly.
not just here in the United States, but all around the world, Americans go and help the poor.
Right.
And that's why the United States of America is blessed beyond belief.
Right.
Because the people are the goodness of their own heart. They will give and give and give. But when the government steps in, any government, to any people, and they tax you, and they force tax you, increase taxes, and they tell you that, we're going to take care of the poor and the destitute, people start hiding money, people start working for cash, they don't pay their taxes.
They get resentful.
Exactly,
Yeah,
yes.
they really do.
Yes. So, anyways, that's another story for another show.
And, that leads us right into the next thing. That's what we're doing here at FVTV. We're serving the community, and we're trying to give to the community as best as we can. And those who financially can help us, we would really appreciate that, to invest into FVTV so that we can be your station and be the best and continue to give this information out freely. And to those who are hurting financially, we're not asking you to participate financially. We want you to take care of your families first. And there was a point in my life where I had to basically, I was always giving, and there was a point where I couldn't give anymore, and it was really hard when someone was giving to me to really receive that. It really had to take me to another level in my life to be humble enough to receive. So I think we need to be at both levels, one where we can ask for help when we need it, and then another point where I'm always giving when I have the opportunity. And that's what we do around here. Everybody here at the station, we're always giving. Like when we go get drinks and stuff, you always cover the bill. And then other times when I have the money, I pay for the pizza. And everybody else pitches in. So it just goes hand in, whenever we have the money, we give.
Yeah.
And I like that. That's what kind of knits us all together. But back to the station, if you don't have the money, take care of your family first. But there's other things we can do. We can back each other with our voices and actually, we can actually back each other up and support us Wednesday at 3:30 down at City Hall, and just back us up. We just need the community to come together and give a reason why we need to be the public access for Clark County. So go ahead.
Oh, my question to Ovie was just, when I was a kid, I didn't really appreciate my dad, or how cool and good he really was. I just thought he's kind of like a lame old fuddy-duddy. And then when I grew up, then I realized what a good man he really, really is. Did you have that? Like when you were a teenager, if your dad tried to tell you stories about the old country, were you just like, yeah, old man, whatever, I don't care? Or did you always appreciate it, or did you kind of get older and as you age then realize really what he went through to give you this life over here?
Well, I grew up in a very conservative and strict family, and in a country where it was an embarrassment to, and you were mocked if you were a Christian. We grew up Christian and on godly principles, and were taught from the Bible. And honoring your mother and father was not an option; it was a commandment, and we took it that way. So I always honored my mother and my father. But my father was my hero. I'm his first child, and so of course he took me with him everywhere. And I also was blessed to have a grandfather who was a godly man, and he was a pastor, and he taught me much more. And I believe I listened to my grandpa more than my father, than I listened to my father. But I always honored my father, and I never went through that phase of thinking that my father didn't know much. And so I always looked up to my father, but then now, after he wrote the book and I read the book, it impressed me, and I realized actually that I had an awesome father, even more than I thought in the first place. And that he risked his life and he was willing to die, not because he wanted to live in freedom, but he wanted his children, me and my brothers and my sister, to live in freedom, because he believed that we wouldn't have a chance in Romania, in a communist country, because we were Christian. But here in the United States of America, where it doesn't matter what you are, what religion, what God you believe in, you have the same opportunity as the Christians.
It's kind of funny if you think about it, like how you were talking about, if you think communism is a good thing, go over there and see how it is.
Yes.
I kind of like thinking that maybe someone said that to your dad. Well, if you think freedom's so great, why don't you move somewhere else and go try it, and then your dad comes over here and now he owns his own business and send that person a postcard. Hey, things are great. Thanks for the idea.
I think they pretty much wanted to get rid of him after what he did.
Yes, they did, but before that, they were trying to convince him to deny his faith. And, to a strong, godly man, that's the worst thing you can say, because when they told my father that he doesn't have a chance in a communist country and his children doesn't have a chance to become anything in life, he thanked them, said, thank you for opening my eyes to see that my children have no chance. And I will do everything in my power to take them to freedom, where they can become whatever they choose to become. And so that day he made a decision that he was going to leave Romania no matter what, or die trying. Actually, if you read the book, Mike, you read the book, and that was impressive. When I read that first in his notes, rough draft of the book, I cried, because it's hard for us to believe. We live in freedom, so we don't know what it's like to live in a communist country. Now, I grew up there and I lived there until I was 14 years old, but and I know the difference there, and I feel the difference. And when I came here and went to school, and there was prayer in the morning, I cried in high school. I didn't understand English, but all the kids bowed their heads, and there was prayer on the speaker. I mean, it was like lived in a dream. Over there, every morning before school started, you had to pledge that you're going to die for that president, that dictator that everybody hated and couldn't stand. But hey, if you didn't do it, you get punished. If the president would walk through your town, you had to clap your hands and cheer and scream that, oh, the president is, walking through town. He's our father. That's what made us scream, by force. If you didn't, adults will go to jail. They get beat up by police officers and private, Secret Service police. Students were suspended and mocked in front of the class, and teachers had the right to physically abuse you. Just because you didn't want to praise this president of Romania, of a communist country. Here in the United States, you can mock the president whether he's right or wrong. You have the freedom to say whatever you want to against your government, whatever you don't like. And there's no consequences whatsoever. So we still live in freedom. And that's what this show should be about. You know, appreciate freedom. Appreciate what you have. You don't realize what you have, but you have freedom. And that's the most important thing in the world.
You know, it's funny you say that. They're our father. Well, what's that one actor? He says, Obama's our father.
Oh, no.
I can't remember.
He's
what
not
that
my
was.
father.
I don't know.
Man, it's not Michael J. Not Michael J. Fox. It's anyways, I can't remember the guy's name.
What
but anyways,
does he do?
He's an actor. He's almost like a comedian actor, real funny actor.
Like, what's he from? What was he on?
He was. It wasn't the Django. It was. Man, I can't remember the guy's name. He's a black actor. I can't remember the guy's name. But anyways, he said, "Obama's our father." He quoted that. So, or not quoted it, but he actually said that.
Huh.
But anyways, we're getting closer to that as time goes on. People are already saying that, trying to put it in our ears that he is our father. But, you know, we need to wrap this thing up now. We're at the end of our show. And thank you for coming on, Ovie. Do you have any last comments?
Well, I want to say thank you for having me back on the show. Look forward to future shows and to discuss and debate and ask questions and answer questions. We have another call, do we?
It sounds like we might.
Yeah. Last minute caller.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess I'll give a quick shout out too. I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who participated, whether calling or watching or donating this weekend.
Oh, we're
Okay.
good to go.
Hey caller, you're live on the air, just in time.
Hi, I've been enjoying the show.
Thank you. What's your name, caller?
Hi, this is Cynthia.
Hi, Cynthia. Thank you for the donation.
What donation?
Oh, there must be two.
To the second Cynthia, I guess.
Yeah, must be two Cynthias.
Yeah, there was a Cynthia earlier that donated $100 right at the start of the
cool.
telethon.
I'll see what I can do.
But no, nonetheless, we should still thank her. So if Cynthia, Cynthia number one, if you're watching, thank you.
So, Ovie, I have a question for you.
Hi there, Cynthia. Ask me.
When you were watching your father go through the hunger strike, what was going through your mind? How were you feeling?
Well, I was 14 years old, or almost 14 years old at the time of the hunger strike. My mother was a strong woman. She would always gather us around my father's bed, and we would pray for him. And I never once felt that my father was going to die, because my mother always expressed and told us that he was going to be fine. And so as a child, I believed my mother, because if that happened right now, I'd probably take action and do some things on my own. But back then, I felt very secure and very confident in what the choices that my father and my mother made together. And I never feared. I believe part of that is due to the strong faith that my father and my mother had. I don't know how to tell you. I don't remember being afraid at all. And towards the end of the hunger strike, because he was on a hunger strike for 27 days, he was so weak and so skinny. You could see through his skin, the veins and the bones, and felt like the skin on his legs was like paper thin. And but still, I don't remember fear. I don't remember ever worrying. So I'm more worried that he's going to have consequences now at his older age because of the hunger strike. Thank you, though. Thank you for asking.
Thank you for asking. Take care, guys.
I imagine you have to have a really strong conviction in your beliefs to go through with a hunger strike. I mean, just, you can tell by looking at me, that would be hard on me. You know?
It's desperate measures.
Yeah.
You would probably be able to do 27 days.
It would depend on the cause, I guess.
Yes.
Well, on that note, we need to close this segment of the telethon. This is our last telethon, and thank you for all the viewers for participating and just making it lively. And please join us on our website FVTV11.org or email us. Can you give that email out since you have it?
info@fvtv11.org.
Yep. And Ovie, do you have any other closing comments?
Once again, thank you for allowing me to be here and to be part of the show. I want to encourage the people of the United States of America to stand up for their rights, to exercise their rights. The enemies of this country exercise more freedom of speech and more freedom to express whatever they want against the freedoms that we have. We, the people that believe in freedom, ought to be louder than they are.
That's a very good point.
Thank you.
That's a very good point. They have all the platforms to speak on or speak from,
Right.
and we have a small platform here. And people, if we lose the platform, then that's just one more thing that's taken away from us. So please get involved. And Adrian, do you have anything else?
Yeah, that it really is a weird analogy that they're using the freedom of speech guaranteed to them and everyone else to destroy the freedoms given to us. It's weird, but thank you to everyone that was a part of it, the viewers, the donators, the volunteers, the crew here. You know, we put in a lot of hours this weekend, and I know it's been fun, but I'm looking forward to my pillow.
Me too.
Thank
It's
you.
been a long weekend.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, it has, but productive and
Yes,
successful.
yes, it
So-
has.
So
Thank
thank you
you.
to everyone.
Yep.
Good night.
Good night, guys.
Next time.